Kalimera. This is the only word I know in Greek, so could you please get your headphones? I will now be speaking in English. It's a great pleasure to be here today. I'm coming often to Athens at the invitation of Vasiliki from the Road Safety Institute Panos Mylonas, and I'm always impressed by the level of knowledge, so I hope you will still learn something from my presentation. So a few words about ETSC, the European Transport Safety Council. We are a non-governmental organization. We're based in Brussels. Our strength is our members. So we are proud to have RSI Panos Mylonas as a member from Greece. We gather 60 member organizations from all over Europe, and you see their logos here. They help us build our positions, and they also help us, of course, getting our voice heard in your countries. Who fund our work? We have a variety of sponsors to be able to keep our independence. So we are an independent organization. It's very important for us, so sponsors don't influence our position because we have many of them. Sponsors cannot be members, and we try to have support from private companies, but also public sector like the European Commission, the Swedish Transport Administration, or the Norwegian Public Road Administration. We run a series of projects, all linked to the main killers on the roads, and we use the funding of DUS research to lobby EU institutions to have the best EU directives and regulation possible, and we also advise member states. As you know, as many as 26,000 people were killed on the roads in the European Union last year, and at least, and we believe there are maybe many more, 135,000 people were seriously injured in 2014, which is the last year available. If we compare the number of people killed on the roads between 2 years, 2010 and 2016, Greece has achieved the third best reduction, as you see, EL for Greece. We know from experts from Greece that part of this reduction is due to the crisis, so people were driving less, especially young people. But we think there will also be some measures that can explain this progress, and building new roads is certainly one. And I hope the new code will also help reducing even more. The reshuffling of the police that we've heard from the previous speakers, I hope will also help. Enforcement is key. If you want to reduce road deaths, you need to have enforcement. I keep repeating this in any countries that I visit. Police is our friends. They save our lives. So you need to enforce speed limits, you need to enforce drink driving, you need to enforce seatbelt use. This is the #1 road measures that was helping, for example, France and Spain to achieve the big reductions they've achieved in the past years. Because if the reduction is partly due to the economic crisis, when the economic situation will get better, and it will get better in Greece, deaths will increase. And this is probably why we see, so this is the well-known deaths per million inhabitant index, and you see Greece is not in red anymore, so I hope we'll see Greece in green. This is when you look at deaths per million population. But as I was saying, we think that because of the economic situation is getting better in many countries, this is what it's, we can't achieve the target. We are far from achieving the target. So the dotted line is the EU target, and we've only been able to achieve 19% reduction in the last 6 years. So my presentation will focus on how safer vehicle can contribute to reducing deaths. We know, of course, there are many more measures, education, enforcement, infrastructure improvement. Everything is important. I will just focus on safer vehicle. We know that improvement in vehicle safety has already saved a lot of lives, and the last revision of the minimum EU rules for being able to sell the new vehicles, it's been last revised 8 years ago. So there is a new generation of technologies that is now being considered for being mandatory in all new cars. So everything I will speak now is just about new vehicles. We know there are old vehicles, but we can already improve the safety of new cars. And there is, as I said, proposal by the European Commission to mandate 24 new vehicle safety measures. And why we need those minimum rules to be upgraded? Because we cannot rely only on Euro NCAP. This car was crash tested by Euro NCAP, and you can see the results don't look very good on the picture. So Ford did not expect Euro NCAP to test the 2017 Mustang, and they chose deliberately to not fit safety technologies in Europe while they were available on the American version of this model. And this is a quote from the press release from Euro NCAP. This is what ETSC and others are calling for: safety to be fitted as standard. This is our hashtag, please use it on Twitter, fit safety as standard, so that all new cars are fitted with the same safety equipments. They can, of course, car makers can go further than the minimum rules, but at least young people, poorer consumers that buy cheaper cars will benefit from the same technologies as standard. So there are 24 measures. Those are the ones that ETSC prioritize. So it's overridable ISA, alcohol interlock, seatbelt reminders, AEB, autonomous emergency braking, EGR, event data recorder, of course, crash protection proposed by cars when they hit the pedestrian protection, and safer truck fronts and sides. It's just a few measures out of the long list, and those are our priorities, and we are lobbying member states to support this list of measures. Here is the short movie explaining what is the seatbelt reminder.
Failure to wear a seatbelt within the European Union is unfortunately a really large problem. We have 10% of people not belting up in the front seat, and that raises to a quarter on the rear.
We know from very rigorous research that a non-seatbelt wearing will result in fatalities. And also very serious injuries. And we know from data from the Road Safety Authority in 2014 that in the fatal injuries that were sustained as a result of road traffic collision, 19% were not wearing seatbelts. I think that's a very sobering figure.
In some countries in Europe, seatbelt wearing is at a very high rate. So in the UK, in Sweden, in some of the larger countries, seatbelt wearing is very, very high. However, there are countries in Europe where seatbelt wearing is much lower than we would like. And wearing a seatbelt is still the single most important thing that people can do to improve their chances of coming out of an accident without very serious injuries.
Seatbelt enforcement is a difficult one, because if you look at speeding, for example, you can do that by technical equipment. But for seatbelt, we have to look with our own eyes. And of course, if some of those people see the police approaching, they quickly buckle up. So it's a difficult one to address.
The impact on the individual, a non-restrained individual involved in a high-velocity road traffic collision, is immense. You have nothing to restrain you, therefore you will go head first through the windscreen or through the person in front.
Then we have many cases where the occupants were ejected. Even on rollover crashes they were ejected out of the car. Normally then they are also fatally injured. And you have traumatic injuries directly to the impact to the steering wheel, to the impact of the knee, to the lower dashboard, and so on.
If you're an unrestrained backseat passenger, you become a missile. So you're not only going to cause injury to yourself, but you're also going to cause very significant injury to the people in the front seat.
So we would like to see an EU law that requires all new vehicles to be fitted with seatbelt reminders. already have it for the driver, so that should be extended to the front passenger and to the rear of the vehicle as soon as possible.
There is a cost involved. They have to fit some hardware to have occupant detection, but as these systems become much more widespread, those costs become lower, and we would think that the cost involved is easily worth it for the savings that are achievable by having these systems in the rear seats.
There is no doubt that seatbelts save lives. There is no doubt that seatbelts reduce the severity of the injury sustained in a road traffic collision. And any piece of technology that can prompt the wearer or the passenger or the rear seat passenger to wear a seatbelt is a good idea.
If we see what seatbelt reminders have done in the front seat for the wearing rates, it's tremendous. Throughout Europe, the seatbelt wearing rate has gone up. It's not quite there yet, but it has done a lot. But if you look at the back seat, where most of the cars still don't have a reminder, there it's still very low figures.
In my opinion, seatbelt reminders should be available for all the passengers in the car, as well as just the front seat drivers.
We expect that with seatbelt reminders we could get wearing rates up to 99%, and that would make a huge difference in terms of saving lives and preventing serious injury across the EU.
Thank you. So seatbelt reminder is only mandatory on driver seats at the moment, and we are asking for all seats, including rear seats, to be fitted. We think there is a consensus already within the car industry to fit seatbelt reminder. There is less of a consensus to fit intelligent speed assistance. Intelligent speed assistance is a technology that will save a lot of lives because we know speed kills. And ISA is not a science fiction technology. It's just the car will need GPS, which is already the case with eCall, and they will need a camera to read traffic signs, which is a camera that is used also for other technologies like automated emergency braking. These technologies help the driver to comply with the speed limit if he missed the speed limit signs or if he's just unattentive to the speed limit. The speed limit is displayed on the dashboard, and the driver will get a resistance on the accelerator pedal when he's reaching the speed limit. The system we promote is an overridable form of ISA, meaning that if you don't want to respect the speed limit, you can still do it by kinking through, so pushing harder on the accelerator pedal. ISA has been trialed in many countries all over Europe. We know it works, and it can cut collision by 30% and deaths by 20%. It will also have a lot of other benefits like less CO2, more cycling and walking because people feel less vulnerable, and people like it. When they had a car fitted with ISA, they were sad to lose it. And of course, it helps drivers avoid speeding tickets. We made another movie that I will show yet later. It's a technology that's already available in cars, in many cars, in fact, from across branches. And it's not fitted on every car, and this is what we're asking. So we'll show now the movie on ISA.
The impact on safety is that ISA is one of the most powerful, influential systems we can have to improve road safety. There are a lot of technologies out there, but because speeding and speed choice is so crucial to risk, ISA has a bigger effect than pretty much any other system. I'm driving now in the Ford Galaxy, which as far as I know is one of the first vehicles on the market, apart from the Ford S-Max, to have a full intelligent speed assistance system on it. I've just gone through a change from 30 to 40 miles an hour on the speed limit, and that's shown on the dashboard. Happened almost immediately. So actually, if I push on the accelerator pedal, it won't go any faster than 40 miles an hour. My speed limit is limited to 40. I touch the button, and now the limiter is disabled. The car just behaves like any ordinary car without the ISA system. Switch it back on, I just hit that button once more. Now I'm told that the speed limit is 40. Why is that useful to me? Well, it's useful because, as you can see as I'm driving along, there's speed cameras along here.
Euro NCAP is it's an independent consumer information organisation, so we look specifically at the safety of new cars. We do a whole raft of different tests, and then we present that information to people on our website in a very visual way which is easy to understand. We know that about 90% of all accidents are caused by driver error, and about half of that 90% are in some way related to speed. So if we could at least begin to address the problems of speed, if we could help people not to speed, then we could really potentially address an awful lot of the accidents that we see on the road.
I've been working with the victims of road traffic collisions for quite a number of years as a higher specialist trainee in rehabilitation medicine, and then subsequently as a consultant in rehabilitation medicine. Are you happy with your progress?
Oh yeah.
The types of injuries that we tend to see are brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, traumatic amputations, and sometimes a consequence of all three. It would be the opinion of myself and of my colleagues here at the National Rehabilitation Hospital that intelligent speed assistance would be a vital component of any vehicle.
Essentially, speed is the biggest killer on our roads today, and we know that if we were to reduce average speeds by just 1%, we could reduce road deaths across the European Union by 4%. We have the technology, it's been trialled across the European Union in all sorts of different scenarios, so we would like the EU to mandate manufacturers to fit intelligent speed assistance across all vehicle types as soon as possible, and that's what would really make a difference in terms of road safety.
Speeding is really one of the three killers. It could save up a lot of life if everyone would comply with the speed rules that we enforce as a traffic police force. So it is huge. It's a huge problem. It's the killer number one. Speed enforcement for us, it takes up a lot of capacity, and this capacity we cannot put into other subjects, like for example distraction driving with mobile cell phone use and things like that. So everything that we have to put into speed is lost to other road safety business. So we have a lot more people dying on the roads because the speed was too high or the speed was inadapted, and also the severe injuries. Let's not forget about that people will have to be sometimes in a wheelchair for the rest of their lives thanks to speeding.
The European Union has recently done a review of crash prevention technologies for new vehicles, and ISA came out pretty high on the list of technologies that can save lives and save serious injuries.
As the hardware becomes increasingly standardized, this economy of scale, the price of these units drops, and it becomes cheaper and cheaper and easier to put on volume vehicles.
I think it's extremely important that legislators and road vehicle manufacturers also do their bit.
And if we were to introduce intelligent speed assistance, so focusing in on speed, reducing speeds, this would make a really, really important contribution.
We are really in favor of ISA. I think it could save up to 20% people dying less on our Europe's roads. So that is tremendous. It's a life-saving technology.
So you might think, wow, TSC is a very rich organization, they are making films. Well, we've made only 2 films and you've seen them all. So as Oliver mentioned in the film, the European Commission has commissioned a report by TRL, Transport Research Laboratory in the UK, to make a review of technologies. And the report is available online. This is the title, In-Depth Cost Effectiveness Analysis of the Identified Measures and Features Regarding the Way Forward for EU Vehicle Safety. So if you Google it, you will find it. ISA is one of the measures included, considered for mandatory fitment because it's considered mature, cost-benefit, and with many other positive impact as well. What can you do, you might think? It's an EU decision, I have nothing to do. Well, we are also talking to local authorities and member states' authorities, because you have a power. You're buying a lot of fleet for some of your organization, as a public authority, as a local administration. This is the example of London. The Mayor of London set out a Vision Zero. He wants no one to be killed in or by a London bus by 2030. So Transport for London, TfL, has designed a bus safety program saying that all new buses will have to be fitted with mandatory ISA. So it's a form of ISA that we are not advocating for private cars, but for buses, yes. So it's a form that you cannot override as a bus driver only if there is an emergency. So there is an emergency button, but otherwise you will stick to the speed limit. And as Transport for London buys 900 buses a year, it will take 10 years to renew the whole fleet, but it's the start. And as a private company, you can also do your bit. So ISA can be part of an integrated in-vehicle telematics system. If you're a taxi company, for example, you can already have a kind of ISA that you retrofit on the car, and you can monitor the behavior of your drivers, and will save fuels. It's been trialed and been shown to actually be cost benefits, so you gain more money by implementing this program. To conclude, ISA will pave the way. ISA and the other technologies that are included in this proposal for a vision of minimum standard will pave the way for automated cars. What we are saying at ETSC is that we don't have to wait for self-driving cars. We can make the cars sold today safer. We don't have to wait for 10, 20 years. Let's not fool ourselves. Self-driving cars will not come today in all scenarios. We'll still buy conventional cars for many, many years, so let's make them safe today. Those technologies have been trialed. We don't know how self-driving cars will behave, but those technologies, we know they work and they save lives now. So, as I said, buy or procure fleet fitted with ISA and other technologies today. Ask your government, so what you can do, ask your government, please, a great representative of ministries, support the Commission proposal when it's out, and we hope it will be out in March 2018. As a member of the Council, you have a say, you have a vote. Ask your MEP, your member of the Parliament, ask your members of Parliament to support those technologies and share our films. Thank you very much.